joining us from somewhere around this entire globe. And it's not flat either. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have went there. Somewhere around the globe, it's Mike from around the world. Mike, how you doing?
God bless you, Pastor Paul. Doing good tonight.
All right. Now, Mike, I titled this show, helicopters, planes, the stock market, everything seems to be crashing down around us. It's a terrible thing that happened in Hudson River. This helicopter just falls out of the sky. I don't know what caused that. Maybe it was mechanical. They said they heard an explosion. Someone did. And then about the same time that happened, Mike, there was an airplane sitting on the runway there in Washington, D.C. with 6 members of Congress, and its wing got clipped by another plane.
Yeah.
And this is really, this is just a couple things. And then there was a plane that fell out of the sky in just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, and there was a plane also that crashed over Missouri. This is just today. Mike, we've also got some reports that Mount St. Helens is either shaking or there's some volcanic ash or plumes being released. Is there anything to worry about there, or is there, or don't worry about that?
No, I believe that gas emissions from many volcanoes are beginning to intensify, right? And again, here we are again. That's the slow but steady change in the earth. It's very difficult to track for some people because if they don't see an explosion right away, they'll say nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But the heat has been increasing inside the earth, right? And here's the cause again. Something is affecting our sun. Clearly, something is affecting our sun.
Okay.
Our sun then affects us. The more radiation, or the more solar winds and materials that the sun ejects, the earth absorbs. As it absorbs all that radiation, it is redirected to the poles inside the planet, heating up the magma. The magma is being supercharged, so to speak. So in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, you have fires that have started from nowhere, right? I mean, they're burning, and it's magma underneath, right? Glass is all around the mouth of these fires. Vitrification has taken place. You have places like Alaska, where things are really about to get hot. Washington State, you have ancient volcanoes waking up. Yeah, in Alaska, gases are starting to emit that nobody ever thought that would happen, this soon. You have places like Italy that there's a continuation of a buildup. You have the Aegean Sea, which is waking up. You have certain dormant spots in the ocean that are superheated now, right?
Tonga?
You have cracks in the Atlantic that are opening up, cracks in the Pacific that are opening up. And magma is the primary cause of all of this.
So magma is what's causing all of these volcanic and all the volcanism and the cracks in the earth, like in the Atlantic Ocean and down in Tonga and the what's running that fault line that's running underneath Italy, and Italy's already got a lot of volcanoes hanging around.
Yeah, they do.
And
in fact, they're about to evacuate. Italy is about to have mass evacuations.
No,
and I believe they've already had meetings. They set out the plans, and then within 2 weeks, I believe they're gonna really have to decide to either start evacuations right away or alert the some of the other citizens that live on the lip of the waters to get ready to go. Now they have some real preparations to make.
Is it because of volcanoes, eruptions are coming, or earthquakes?
Volcanoes.
Is Rome in any kind of danger here?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
They're not going to evacuate. I mean, are they going to?
No, but they'll put them on watch. One of the issues is if they, and this is real, if they have an evacuation, nothing happens during an ample amount of time.
Yeah.
Whoever called for that evacuation is going to jail.
Yeah, their head will roll. Right. There's no question about that. But if they don't do it and it blows,
people are going to die. Yeah. People are going to die. So I'm electing for the latter. I know they're not going to get everybody out. They're going to get some of the more obvious places. They've already evacuated some. just they've already done that. You know that, don't you? They have actually
No,
cleared out certain parts of Italy around there. So it's already beginning. But
really.
I do not believe they're going to get the mass majority of folks. It's just not going to happen because it's not feasible. In the predictive method that they're trying to employ is not trustworthy enough.
So you're
Simply
saying
isn't.
so you're saying there's some certain critical, important, what they would consider important people in Italy that they might have already moved over. Maybe they're on
Oh, they have.
put them on
Oh, they
vacation
have.
over in Barcelona or somewhere.
They have moved people out of certain areas, and it won't be a playful subject here soon. The magma continues to intensify as far as its heat. Now, keep this in mind: as magma heats up, it's going to melt more and more rock. That's more and more magma. This process is continuing. It's not stopping. It's actually spreading. So that's
Wow.
where we are with that. Yeah.
All right. So when we're watching these things happening, Mike, and of course you mentioned the sun a minute ago, and it is a very, very major concern. There's plasma storm. They've been showing there's incredible plasma storms. There's two massive holes on the sun that are right now Earth facing. We're
Yep.
praying they don't do anything. I mean, what's going on, Mike, with the sun?
Well, a coronal hole like that, right? That indicates, let's say, a very tight winding of a rubber band, a magnetic band that will burst. At some point, it will burst. And it is pointed towards us. So naturally, the effects of, well, there are several things in effect, but there is a good potential that something will be thrown our direction. But I'll tell you something. If the magnetosphere is in the right polarity to any CME ejection, it could be harmless, right? Or it could be devastating. So I'm going to let everybody know this. If the magnetic shielding is not polarized with a your lowest possible CME, some harmless CME ejection, right? Say the magnetosphere is not polarized to it. Do you not know that could be a Carrington event?
Really?
Yeah. If we can absorb, if the Earth cannot absorb all the radiation, right, and we're polarized in the opposite direction, you're looking at a bow shock, so to speak, right? Something that will just smash into us, overwhelm the magnetosphere, cause it to go into a chaotic mode, which is not really orientated, and then the surface of the Earth is going to be electrified a little bit, and that's from the smallest CME. So no flare, just a CME, coronal mass ejection.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not polarized the right way, we're in trouble. So far, we have been polarized the correct way. So we're able to absorb quite a bit, which is why some of these CMEs, well, all these CMEs have been largely passive. The solar flares have been passive events. If we're polarized in the wrong way, we're in trouble. And everybody ought to keep in mind, we will have a magnetic flip, right?
Yeah. In other words,
That's going to cause
pole
us to have
shift.
the wrong polarization.
Now, there's a
We're in
difference.
trouble.
There's
Yep.
a difference between a magnetic flip or a pole shift
That's right. That's
and
right.
a physical tilt.
That's right. We're talking about the magnetic shielding,
Okay.
right, being polarized in the opposite direction. Now, here's the deal historically. We know that the Earth has gone through periods of upheavals that have lasted for, hundreds of years and then nothing, right? So peace, chaos, peace, chaos. We have been at peace this entire time. When the magnetic field lines begin to reorient themselves in the opposite polarity, the sun is not going to be friendly to the Earth. I personally believe that's when everything goes downhill, because any type of CME is going to cause problems with the Earth at that point. We have been in a time of peace. In other words, our our shielding has been polarized in the right way to absorb everything the sun has and harmlessly utilize it for energy. But when it changes, when the magnetic field lines change, when we have this flip, not of the Earth, but of our poles, so magnetic poles, right? That's an indication of shielding is polarized in the opposite direction. And at that point, we're going to have chaotic years. I honestly believe that's part of the that is part of the end times, and it would perfectly describe many of the conditions that we would face during the time that's described in Revelation, as well as some of the times that you can dig up by way of archaeology, right, and geology. You can see it in the earth, in the strata that we have gone through these moments. So here we go.
Wow. So this magnetic shield, which is our magnetic field, as it weakens, we become more vulnerable to the coronal mass ejections and the plasma storms and the CMEs that come, the coronal mass ejections and anything else coming at us. But also it affects the volcanism, which in turn affects the oceans are being heated, which in turn creates a change in the oceanic currents, which in turn does and affects the atmospheric currents, and then the compression,
Yes. Think of this, though. Imagine if the magnetic field lines never weakened. If the shielding never weakened, it simply reversed polarity.
What would that mean? What does that mean?
That means we'd be in trouble. That's what that means. In other words, look, part of the North and South Pole, one part is like negative, one part is like positive, right? And just like a circuit, if you take a negative wire and hook it to a positive wire, but it's hooked through some type of resistance, which would be the earth, you got a pretty good circuit, so no danger. If you hook positive to positive on your car battery, you're going to be in trouble.
Oh, you'll blow that thing up. Yeah, you'll blow it up.
Okay, there you go. So if we did not lose our shielding, but it simply reversed its polarity, then anything coming from the sun would instantly cause a problem. Poof. That's what we go through, right? So there are times in history when the heavens were quite dangerous. We're talking about for hundreds of years, not for 2 or 3 years, to hundreds of years. There are known, you can look in some of the petrified trees and find that there was a period of 400 years that things were awful here. The sun did damage to everything. We know there's some sort of extinction event that decreases humanity a great deal and destroys civilizations, right? And nobody's given a good answer for that. What would destroy all civilizations, leaving ruins, then they build up and wiped out again, then wiped out again, then wiped out again, until we have nothing but footers and columns and stone and things like that. I believe that the shielding, its reversal, has everything to do with that. And we're in the process now of our shielding changing its polarity. We're in that process right now.
How long does that process take?
It doesn't have to weaken. We're in trouble. There's no determinate time, Pastor Paul. It could happen, from what I understand, it's already started, so it could take 10 years, right?
Okay.
It could take 100 years, or it could take 10 minutes. In this case, they know it's changing because the sun's effects on the surface of the earth are changing it rapidly. That's where our weather conditions are coming from. That's why the magma is overcharging, because the polarity, we're almost halfway through that flip, right?
So
it is
anywhere
changing.
Between 10 minutes and 100 years. But that's sort of like what we do when we talk about the big one. Earthquakes, in San Andreas fault line, or the Cascadia subduction zone, or Tonga, blowing its top. Any time this could happen because of the pressure and the magma rising and the earth tilting and the magnetosphere weakening. Any of those things could really happen. So we really are living in the borrowed time. Would you say we're living in borrowed time?
Yeah, we're seeing it too. And since 2010, these events have exponentially increased. So what does that tell you? It's not going to take 100 years.
So it's not going to take 100 years.
It's not going to take 50 years. It's not going to take 50. It's not going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
It's not, because right now we're on a trend line for all this to have taken effect within the next 3 years.
Mike, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Thank you.
Pastor Paul, God bless you. God keep you. Keep going, brother. Keep going, brother. God bless you for all you do.
I'm going to do it. Thank you so much.
All right.
God bless.
God bless.